any business is presented through its packaging. Uh, the business is presented, of course, through its quality and service, but the presentation matters a lot when you are in front of your customer. So I would now request Mr. Kiran Kumar, founder of Graphitech, to share the importance of packaging, labeling, and quality in food e-commerce. Please, Mr. Kiran. And I would request Nitya to introduce Mr. Kiran.
It's my honor and also a pleasure to introduce our fellow speaker, Mr. Kiran Kumar Ranganathan. And happy to see you here, sir. I think after a long many years, we've been meeting today. Nice to see you here on our platform today. To start off with, his journey started as a brand consultant and a creative strategist in the year 1990. And has an applied artist, graphic designer, and a brand designer as well. His career started at Graphitech, a design studio, those days now a full-fledged branding and designing strategy firm. He inculcated art through the blood. And he is a alumnus of famous Kumaran School. And also, he took up designing immediately after completing his graduation from Vijaya College. And his prodigious training included color separation, graphic design, and lithography, infographics, design strategy, branding, art direction, etc., which made him the chosen one in print and digital media. His expertise is in developing concepts, art direction, logo design, graphic design, design strategy, brand and corporate identity, topography, editorial design, web design, infographics, digital marketing creatives, illustration, and print production. And that has put Graphitech a step ahead of his competitors. So we are honored to have you here, sir, and we would like to hear more about you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Extremely sorry and for all the technical glitch we encountered. Hope to continue the session now. Please bear with me for a couple of more minutes before I start. I thank IMS for giving me this an opportunity to present a short presentation on packaging. It is a pretty vast subject when compared to the development of this industry in India. Predominantly packaging, most of the packaging technology has come from outside. It's very literally very minimal things have been developed in India. So, excuse me. It's on. Do it on the screen. Yeah. So the topics of presentation would be introduction to food packaging, importance of packaging and branding, packaging architecture and structure, types of packaging material, packaging technology, food labeling, packaging design, future trends on food packaging, and key points for food e-commerce. So I will possibly give equal importance to each of this topic. Most of this topic demand very larger time and a larger detailing. So I'll try to be brief since we have to cover a lot many aspects of this food packaging. So when you look at the essence of packaging, it is all about visibility. It is all about visibility which can lead to profitability. This visibility and profitability in packaging can come with your branding as well as how do you package your product. So when we come to branding, the key aspect of branding is whether you have a legally protected trademarkable name. The brand look and feel is very important since people would recognize your product with the look and feel. and it should stand a test of time. What is test of time? When we say test of time, certain brands in India are, for example, ITC, the brand is much older than the current generation which is managing it. So this is called test of time. So design need not be very complex when you look at the aspect of branding, because there is a you will get into a situation of adaptability, versatility when it comes to brand image. So in past 1 decade, the rapid development of packaging has led to lot of technological advancement and lot of new material which has come into this packaging industry to support the amount of products we have developed. So if you look at most of the product which we have developed in food, which have developed in food industry, is all about shelf life. When we say shelf life, it is all how you manage your moisture, or how you can keep your food fresh. So it becomes very important that shelf life of the product, no, can it be retained from manufacturing to the consumer. So the longer the shelf life, the degree of packaging becomes more and more complex. So when it comes to packaging design, one of the very key aspect of packaging, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. It means that the importance of the packaging, the product differentiation is dependent on packaging. Unless consumer buys and picks your product, the product quality is not known. Talking about product quality, you can't have a salesman for every pack. You can't have a salesman for every pack. So it means that all you do with your front end of your packaging becomes so very important to talk about what is inside. So how do you incorporate all the packaging messages into the front end of the pack or in the back end of the pack is very important. So this is basically a packaging architecture and structure of way a product is presented. If you look at this particular structure, by and large, this tried and tested methodology of packaging structure, which has evolved by designers over the period of time, interacting with the consumer and how it has evolved. So if you look at in India, we would have started the company where we wouldn't have even taken a trademark. So our parent company sometimes is so strong, we are not able to build a secluded brand with it or around it. So at the time, your national entity becomes very prominent. So generally, it is very ideal you bring one mother identity as in the front of the pack. This has happened with most of the companies. You would have seen ITC will be known. Karna Kitchens of India is their brand name. Or they might have n number of brands under a group identity. So generally, you need to reserve some space in your front of packaging for that. Then you have the brand name. You can even have a tagline. And very important is product differentiator, which can be a color and also the product name. And as I told you, your packaging acts as a front-end salesman or your sales force. You need to have, along with your statutory, other elements of which can communicate about your product, being it your unique description in as many ways as possible. Reduce the amount of content, make it more graphical, than all your statutory things. So this is a front of pack. I move to the back of pack. Generally, it is Indian packaging is loaded with even languages. So you need to have vernacular also, which should also go as part of the packaging. Today, the packaging guidelines have become very tough. in terms of putting the content. Even type size is mattering in pharma industry. So you can't use text below 4 points. So that generally you find a literature which is attached along with an injection, which you need to read completely before you get injected. So that is the kind of statutories which are being developed in food as well as pharma industry. So couple of things is your ingredient, which is a statutory content. Product description or a recipe can be anything else. You have statutory content of your nutritional information and other statutory content of manufacturing details or storage, and a statutory content like your barcode. Barcode occupies a lot of space these days. People even use QR code to identify and talk about a product. We recently had a client who had put a QR code where when people used to scan, it used to show the recipes or how to use the product. So you need so much of space, so you can work on it. In case if you want vernacular, you can even use a scan QR code and have the vernacular there in many languages, or you can embed a video there. So you need so much space for your back of pack. So this is basically hardcore workable packaging architecture for any food brand. Basically this is 100-gram pack which is fit in almost around 100 to 150 words in it. So this is the kind of space you require for a product. So I move to types of packaging material. Packaging material are generally which food industry needs is poly. We need to think about eco-friendly and sustainable packaging also, but they are very expensive. They are more expensive than the product. If you look at your packaging today, sustainable and eco-friendly packaging are very expensive. So I'll come back to the eco-friendly packaging later, because we need, if you want to be commercially viable, you need a sustainable polypropylene packing or a paper packing. Even if you want to use a paper packing when it comes to perishable food or food which has more moisture, the paper packaging also doesn't serve the purpose. You need to have a polythene or a multi-layer LD or HD packaging which should go into the paper packing. So if you look at type of packing, it is HDP. HDP is high density polypropylene. LDP is low density polypropylene. The polypropylene poly bags of many types are there. So I'll touch base that also. The multi-layer polypropylene pouches and bags, which is generally used in your millet packaging currently. Everybody knows corrugated outer cartons, the printed cartons, the mono cartons. Mono cartons are generally what you saw, the spices, powders and all, no, most of them are in mono cartons. The poly jars and containers, glass containers, collapsible tubes, tin containers. Something new which has come is IML, which I will brief you, IML technology, and eco-friendly packaging. So our most common form of packaging which we see today is basically a LD, low density polymer, which has a sticker. I think many years ago we used to, if we had gone to a Kirana shop, we used to get our dal or even our soji, packed in a newspaper and used to come. And possibly 35 years ago, this changed with all this Kirana shop using a poly pack with a small sticker in it. So then started the weights and measure department started chasing them, asked them to do a packaging license. So this was the advent of supermarket. Then supermarket came up with a same common packs with a printed thing. Currently, even if you see every industry today still uses this low density poly. This is called low density poly because of its visibility. and it is not stretched to give the kind of clarity it needs for more transparency. So this is basically, these have even now migrated to your pouch where it is sandwiched with paper and pouches are made. So that is the basic form of packaging, mostly in the basic entry level branding, which most of them do. Most of home entrepreneurs who are developing their first time products just have that baseline packaging. So what you see is very similar here. You generally do a pouch here and put a sticker of your brand, and possibly backside you might put your MRP and very minimal details, not getting too deep because it involves bigger the sticker, it involves more printing, more cost, and more way of doing it. And maybe you would have seen this ready-made pouches where you would fill anything and seal it off thing. So this is also one of those brown pouches which you generally see, where printing also can be done. Generally people use sticker here. This has been printed on that. This is all pre-formed pouch where printing operation happens later. So the LD poly bags are a very basic entry level packaging. Today we have good technology to print this also. So you can see this, basically we would have seen this chips, which is generally packed in this with a small sticker or a paper label. Generally the paper label is so soaked with oil, you would not be able to read anything in that. So HT polypacks are most advanced technological this thing, and most safer for the food, and it also increases the shelf life of your product. So basically this HT poly has 3 layers. One is a printable transparent layer where the microfilm is printed. Then you have a metallized high barrier layer. It can be metallized or even be a transparent poly also. Then you have a high seal strengthening. So all this three layer generally protects the food intact. In case if you can seal it in an moistureless or an preserved environment, it gives you a higher shelf life. Up to certain products now carry even shelf life up to 18 months. So these are basically poly bags which you would have seen. Here if you can notice, you can even see how the product image, the brand and the color uniformity is also maintained. You can what I explained you about the product differentiator, color differentiator, all aspects are also present. Because that is a little longer subject, I'm trying to cover that as we go through the thing. So generally in pharma industry, the grade of poly used is very high because of the sensitivity of the product and the shelf life of the product. So this is another example of how the brand uniformity is maintained in the form which I shared to you. So now this is an interesting situation. This is a 5 rupee snack. Any guesses how many layers this pack has? Now this has 4 layers, much more than what masala you saw. Masala has 3 layers, this has 4 layers. Reason is the kind of oil they use, right, contaminates the food faster if it is a 3 layer. Leave around 2 layer. Imagine the kind of chips which we eat, most of them are low density polymers with 2 layers. Basically cost of packaging and the kind of marketing they do, doesn't deserve. But these kind of food, you can see how in case if you are buying a product, which has 2 layer and your children eat, right? No, a 5 rupee snack or a 10 rupee snack. Imagine the amount of because they are processed in a high degree of oil, which is recycled and all. So the food duration of food conservation is also very tough there. Practically a 5 rupee snack comes to the retailer at around 2 rupees 70 paisa, 80 paisa. The manufacturer hardly gets 50 paisa. So you can imagine the amount of compromises generally done. I have a literally hard copy samples of all of these, whatever I'm trying to show here. You can have a look at it, this to increase your knowledge and thing. So BOPP is it is biaxial polypropylene, which is stretched on both sides for high degree of transparency and volatility of the material, and it has higher strength. Why higher strength is it can take even a 20 kg rice bag. No, today comes in a BOPP pack, so it can take that waste. Each of this rice bag undergo even 50 times drop test from a height of around 30 feet, 40 feet. It depends on the company. They undergo between 30 to 100 drop tests just to see that it is not pilfer proof or it breaks. So these bags, this is a new material which is there since last 7-8 years, which has given lot of strength. I think we all had only gunny bags or possibly jute bags or even a woven sack until a few years back we started seeing this 20 kgs back in a beautifully printed bags. So you have most of the brands which use this thing, and so from poly I moved to paper. Paper is by and large has been a very traditional form of packaging, but when it comes to monocarton, unless you have a dry food or a dry product, you can't even go for a monocarton. All today, even if you want to pack something as dry as chutney pudi, the stains of groundnut powdered oil, you will be able to see it on the pack. So generally, all monocarton should have a poly or at least a foil pack. This is very essential for to use a monocarton. So that's the limitation of monocarton. Unless the advent of BOPP pack, we have been seeing most of our ready-to-eat food in possibly a few years ago. If you had seen, MTR had pouches where in the pouch you used to get a curry or a food which used to be you used to eat and heat and eat. So all these things were repacked in monocartons. So it's the same product which, what happens is you see a pouch there, let us take this a pouch of 20 grams, which one serving pouch, which has gone into a monocarton. So each monocarton would contain 15 serving or 30 serving depending on the size of the packaging. So most of this monocarton or your pouch needs your corrugation outer. So this corrugation outer today are beautifully printed, where you can still have your brand visibility. Unless and until your cartoon reaches the end customer, we can have different forms of printing. If it is reaching an end customer, yes, you can bring out whatever is there outside. That's why you see, if it's not reaching the end customer, if it is reaching a B2C where your reach is, the end customer is the final pack, then possibly you can simplify your corrugation. So this is same thing, same product, where the end product is going to be the monocarton. So food labeling has taken a tremendous leap today. You have machines which can print label in rolls today. and even print a very smaller quantity also. Very small SKU has even 3 numbers, 4 numbers. Even pouches have also moved. Many would think you need to print large quantity of pouches these days. No, there's a new technology which has come where you can even print 10 pouches, 20 pouches. You need not put sticker, you can have a full-fledged pouch printed digitally. I'll touch base that little later. So the other form of, apart from your poly and paper, is your jars, bottles and container. So this is a very traditional, new form of containers have come, which can even take product like pickle. Pickle was traditionally packed in jars and bottles. Today we have poly, which is very high density, high quality PET jars, which can take pickle or even ginger garlic paste. So most of the poly jars today we can see is being made more beautiful, and even tinier labels are being turned around because of the labeling technology has gone leaps and bounds. Earlier people used to, even if you used to get a small product of 20 gram, the box used to be 100-gram bags, outer carton, mono carton. So those things have changed today. So even smaller poly jars or containers can be labeled well, and your product presentation can be improved. So most of these poly jars carry a label which carry enough content, enough literature, depending on their sizes. Bottles have virtually moved to, because of the breakage in transportation, have been virtually moved to PET bottles. Glass container is a traditional form of, it was most safe for all foods and jams. We have never seen jams in PET bottles yet. We have always seen jams in glass bottle with a nice tin lid. So honey is today moved to PET bottle, but traditionally honey was also on a glass bottle. So this is the most preferred form because glass has its own beauty and it has its own recyclability. So it's still preferred best form of, that's best way. If you want your food to have longer shelf life, nothing like glass. So we have collapsible tubes, which were very distant for most of them today. Going forward, we might see condensed form of food coming in paste in tubes, because food is being condensed very naturally. The moisture extract being taken, possibly it will move to tube. Maybe you give one press, pour hot water, your sambar would be ready. So hope that happens soon. So this will reduce the amount of, see, if you can do a high density product which is very strong, you save a lot of packaging. For example, even a 100-gram tube, no, if it can carry a high density thing, where you come home and put liquid water into it, make a sambar or a chutney, imagine the amount of transportation we would save, space saving would happen. So this has happened already in the phenyl industry. It has happened in the phenyl industry. Maybe you see large shampoo bottles also, it's so big. So we can even move them to condensed form, because we are spending a lot of money on transporting water. So these are one of the advent of technology when it comes to density of the product. No, if the density of the product can be reduced, this can be taken to, packaging can be taken to a next level. I'm sorry. In fact, this tube, it is not a printed tube. We have labeled this tube. Its label is pasted, because earlier we wouldn't imagine a small entrepreneur who's a startup, to use tubes. They used to use containers only. Today, if you have a good product, And if it solidifies well, you can still use a tube and seal it with a simple sealing machine. So tin containers have been a traditional form of packaging. It has been excellent, but especially if you are having some high density liquid or a semi-solid, no, still tin is the one which holds good. Pouches are being developed, but not in a segment of food. Only except oil, nothing else have converted into, and sauce, nothing else have got converted into pouch. So it is a lot of difficulty because of the leakage and the way the product seals, the product density and the reaction of the product. So this is something which I wanted to tell about. I said IML. IML is in mold containers. This has, you would all have seen ice cream cup, printed ice cream cup. We all are used to paper cups as children, or a poly cup, which didn't have enough branding. Today, the poly container like this, which has a seal and which gives you a high shelf life of your product, and still you have excellent branding space. Imagine a 1 kg container, no? You would have seen this painting dabbas. So most of them are pre-printed. Uh, this is an expensive technology where a very thin film, a pre-printed film, is with a heat technology bound onto or pasted electronically into a plastic container. And it is scratch proof, it is fade proof, and it can take it is this container, because of the strength of the container, is highly reusable. Now let us take, you do your sambar powder in this and sell it to a client, or your millet mix in and send it to your client. The, as long as the container remains in their kitchen, the brand is remembered. Got it? Now let us take this container stays for 3 months, and after 3 months, after 1 month, the product gets exhausted and they have any other health problem and they want to use your millet mix. Obviously, they would go and buy because the container is still there on your shelf. So this is the kind of advantage this is done, because we have only seen in this in the ice cream industry. Because of the volume and the technology involved, today the container is expensive. You can't print less than 10,000 or a 20,000 container as one lot and one SKU. So that's the whole thing it is. But we have a new technology which has come where this can also reduce as low as 3,000 or 2,000. But you need to have at least 3-4 SKUs to manage this, and you can do a beautifully printed product with this technology. We have seen this being used in gifting segment, where dry fruits, variety of dry fruits have gone into a single pack with individual container. 30-gram variety of product being packed in a large gift pack. So this is what I was talking about, is the new technology which has come, where it is digitally printed. All the films are digitally printed. Then it has it goes on to your regular conventional way of doing a finished product. What I mean to say is, see, generally whenever you wanted to print a pouch, people would talk about cylinder, people would talk about artwork, people would talk about quantity in kgs. For example, a simple 100-gram pouch, what you see, puliyogre mix, if you want to print, let's say you are doing puliyogre and you want to print, you needed minimum around 300 kgs, which would mean you have to invest on close to around 2.5 lakhs to produce possibly around 50-60,000 pouches. So this technology gives you flexibility where you can print even 100 pouches. The cost is high, it is almost double to 2.5 times, but your investment is low. Let us take you are a startup and you want to introduce 20 different variety of masala or 20 different variety of ready to eat millet mix. Okay, your investment in a conventional method would have been 40 lakhs with the product inventory of close to around 4 lakh pouches. In this methodology, you can introduce around 10,000 units with around 300, 400 or 500 units, as a test marketing. So this is the latest technology which has come in this thing. So speed, it can be created within 6-7 days. No MOQ, no cylinder, sustainable. You can use a eco-friendly thing. You can have variable data. You can have different barcodes, variable data. Then multiple SKUs and security. You can do a high secure printing. You can have a hologram there which can secure, where your product is going, and low inventory. So this is something which is latest to come. I would ask any one of them who are do a startup to embrace this, and you can start with great degree of confidence. So when it comes to eco-friendly product, we have only biodegradable poly, which is very expensive today because it is in a very earlier stages of invention, and rest all is known to you. It is more to do with your cloth or your jute, and maybe little banana recycled products have come, but most of these are expensive. A single biodegradable cover would cost close to around 7-8 rupees. If you are doing a 20 rupee product, you can't invest so much on packaging. So that's the stress point here. We need to wait until we do, because what goes through, for example, the degree of water consumption required to do eco-friendly pack is very high, and manpower required is more. That's why the cost is shooting up like anything. At a very nascent stage, we tried to use this handmade paper and all. They were 10 times more than a regular paper, so it has become very difficult. Only paper which are imported from Germany are chlorine free or eco-friendly and all, and they cost a bomb. For example, the monocarton what I shared with you, it generally costs around 5 to 8 rupees. If you do it on eco-friendly product, it costs around 17 to 18 rupees. It becomes unviable to sell a 70 rupee or a 100 rupee millet mix or a kg of product, which is very tough. So with that, I come to end of packaging. So I will take questions on packaging and then possibly move to this food e-commerce thing. So yeah. BOPP is basically it's a polypropylene only, but it is stretched on two sides. It gives you more clarity and strength. See, what happens is all your conventional pouches, back. So conventional pouches, all are BOPP only. It is in multi-layer. I'll just show you practically a pouch. I can take other question meanwhile. You can see here it's a very clear indication of the layer and how this thing is printed. That's a BOPP only. You can open it and see, actually, you can see layers. This is a derivative. You can see here, this is also BOPP only. See, now what I told you about, when you talk about economical viability, it depends on your quantity and how your snacks. Ah. Metpet is one of the layer which goes into it. This is a metpet. See, on the front layer is still BOPP only. Front layer is still BOPP only. What happens is you can have a additional layer of BOPP. See, what happens is, see, the metallized, why metal is used is because of your, it depends on your food, what you pack. That's what I told you. Food like this, no, it's because of the contamination and other thing. Generally, it needs an additional layer of protection. Sure. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks to Mr. Kiran for giving such a wide spectrum about the packaging material. Probably few are good information for manufacturing sector where we can reduce the cost and also make it more decored to present it to our customers. And I would request Jayashree to felicitate Mr. Kiran. So please.
Thank you.